a warning for take shelter now in a basement or on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. If outdoors, stay in car or protect yourself from flying debris. Do not call 9-1-1 except for life-threatening emergencies. Check media for details.
Can't sleep.
Me too.
You remember?
What?
That one.
Which one?
That one that tried to do that to you.
Ew! You, not that one. I don't want to remember that one anymore.
But that one came back.
The brother.
Yeah. And the sister.
And the sister.
And the
The
sister.
brother, the sister, then next one, the uncle.
Aiyo.
The sister.
How you know?
She knows.
How
How can he know?
come you know? How come you know? And the brother? The brother, your best friend,
Your brother like that.
No. But I tell you about this brother. This brother that time came with the other brother. And after that, the other brother go and pull that sister. And after that, go somewhere, I don't know, it was just ew.
You.
The whole family went abroad, right?
Family.
And then they came back. That's why.
That's why.
All. Even the uncle lah.
It's this thing about overseas that makes it that one, and then after that the other one, and then the other one went to the other shop, and then the other one don't know where that came from, and it became the one.
No, the brother lah. He was okay. When he was a child, he was okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then like,
You never know what.
why?
It's because we went abroad lah. We forgot everything.
Well, actually a bit claustrophobic. Yeah.
This one okay ah?
Okay lah. Tell mine.
Okay lah, mana besok lah.
Okay,
You also know.
So 27.
a short.
8.
One. Wait.
25. Empat.
Dua lima, dua lima, dua lima, dua lima, dua lima, dua lima. Siapa yang first? Dua lima, dua lima,
Hello, this is the War Office. Please leave a message. Thank you. Bye. Hello, this is the War or don't. Thank you, bye. Hello, this is the War Office. We open from 9 to 5. Or we don't. Thank you, bye. Hello, this is the War Office. We are taking orders. Maybe not. Thank you, bye. Hello, War Office. Please leave a message. Thank you, bye. Hello, this is the War Office. Please leave a message. Thank you, goodbye. Hello, this is the War Office. Please don't leave a message. Thank you, bye. Hello, this is the War Office. Please leave a message before 5. Thank you, goodbye. Hello, War Office. Hello, War Office. Hello, War Office. Hello, this is the War Office. Hello, 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 War Office.
Find the ends. Okay. Ayo.
Nobody tells you how an open ocean is so dark. currents are under swell, underneath, and you are treading water, about to crash into a wave. Between our boat and the wave is all the space that you have, so you need to climb on now. Never mind that I made this boat by hand, with leftover strands of hope, threadbare morals, and many messiah sins, held together by rice glue and debris. Never mind that it was never meant for a storm. You are my needle and I am your thread. You just have to hold on now. Try again. Both hands. Try again.
You know, it's really annoying how you had to tolerate my music. I was only trying out the whistle, but you were so impatient. I know I wasn't very good. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to try to save me from every mistake. We all make the same mistakes differently.
The whistle around your neck. I grab that and pull. In that split second, I sent the fastest prayer and the shortest breath, and you were on the other end of that thin orange string.
I'm sorry. Thank you. But I'm sorry for the space I'm taking on your own unwilling life.
They say that I am their needle. I was asked to be their savior. They said, if not you, who else? And then I asked, if not them, who else? You wanted so badly to save your people from making the same mistakes? Your grandmother and mother probably made the same ones as you did, and saw you go through all that, just as you now see my sisters and nieces. Because no matter how hard you try, people will do what they need to do, ought to do. We all make the same mistakes differently, but the heart of it never changes. You are her needle. She is your thread.
I have seen my mother cry twice in her entire lifetime. Once when my father died, and once because of me. That was my biggest mistake. To hurt my mother the way she had hurt her mother. And now I wait for my turn.
Okay, now put it in the bag. And they're not just helping, they are like instrumental elements of this. They're some of like the best movers and performers I've ever met. So that I was like, oh my god, I get a chance to play with them. So I'm like, this is the chance to like bring them together. I knew Yazid from school. Actually, I knew everyone from school, but just in different capacities. And I just thought it would be so fun to pull everyone together too, because we have not had the chance. We've met each other, but not had a chance to like play together. And yeah, so I don't know what else to say. I'm more curious about like what you saw and what stayed with you. Yeah, it's, of course, this is a work in progress. This is literally the first time we've shown it to anybody. I knew I messed up somewhere. I was like, oh dang, that was not what yeah, but I think this is the first time we've shown it to an audience, so it's your, like, this is the experiment, and like the results are like question mark coming from you. Like, that's the question I have for you. Like, what stayed with you? What did you think was happening? Was that clear? Yeah, let's start there.
You don't want to give any context first. You want to ask them first.
Yeah, I want to ask first.
So anyone want to go first? Maybe I can go first.
Can.
So of course it will be the first time I see the piece as well, and maybe I'm cheating because I read the little synopsis. I don't know, but I did like print out and share with everybody as well. I don't know, but I know that I guess when you made up your concept, start with like the thread, right? The red thread. Is like, is it like you have the common objects, which is thread, and then you like brainstorm like the scenarios of what this might mean? Actually, I'm curious. The first one was about like you all waking up after listening to the forecast. It's like a house, like how does the thread represent in that, like, the very first one? Maybe the middle of the scene, I feel like there's a thread like the calling, like distance, or when your friend are using the thread as some kind of like a represent like your man, your like necktie and that kind of thing. But the first scene, what is like the thread mean? And then suddenly you start singing. Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah. Maybe that's the first scene. How does the thread comes? What the meaning of it?
Okay, I will not answer that yet. I just want to survey people. Oh, by the way, this is Aditi, and this is Lynn, and this is Yazid.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Okay, we gotta move on to other people first.
then
They
I
will
will
not
answer.
answer me. If anyone have any other curiosity.
So I think by the end, where all the stuff comes together, to me that kind of seemed, I read it as a sort of people taking the stuff that is like difficult or negative in life and still finding a way to come together and like bond and find some connection within all the difficult stuff. So that was kind of, you asked what stays with me, the bit at the end where you all are coming together with the balls of thread.
Anyone else? No one?
You're like, we're not trying to pass the mic around. You don't need to say you don't want to.
I guess maybe it's my background, but what was most striking for me was the Dua Lima singing with the thread. I think because like before you all started standing up, when you were in the middle, and before you started singing it, I think you were all measuring, and then you went to measure in your own languages, and maybe the way you were talking, it felt to me like you were all like aunties, uncles, makciks. Like I thought of our tailor, the old Chinese uncle and old Chinese auntie who we get our stuff tailored for, who measure us and speak in, is it Teochew? Yeah, so for me it was like a whole bunch of old people coming together to like I don't know, some community thing, like, and then like, you know, in Scotland sometimes they have like when they I don't know what it's called, but they like with the textiles, and as they like clean it, they sing a song together. So like is it? Anyway,
It's
so
almost like you stole from my brain. But
oh,
yes.
okay, yeah. So the Dua Lima song to me was like a work song with like aunties and uncles. Yeah, that's what stood out to me.
Just want to say that any time there is a Chinese choreographer or maker, and then there is a long thread of red string, there is inevitably that connotations of what the red string can represent in terms of connections, in terms of the blood kinship, as well as love. Yeah, so I wonder whether the piece is attempting to tag on it or deviate from it also, because red string has a lot of connotations. Anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, similarly, I was thinking about the red and white. For me, also red and white in Singapore has connotations. Yeah.
Okay.
And somehow I was curious about the difference in size, the width of the white and the red, and also I associate both the why at that particular width. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm wrong, because I also haven't been in Singapore for a long time. But I somehow associate those two things with funerals. Yeah. So yeah, funerals, and then that with. I think you were saying war office. Is that what you were saying? Yeah. So somehow that linked something for me, and the repetition with the slight changes of the what was being said and the red line, of course, that image was quite striking. That scene.
I mean, I don't understand most of it, so I mean, I'll try saying things, but it was like I'm not artsy enough. I think the first scene, going from storm to people coming together, that was confusing for me because I didn't know, like, how is a storm waking you up, but you are going into like a normal day, like as if like making garlands in the morning within the community. So that transition, I didn't understand. So I'm not saying this is like bad artistry. But there was like, I fully agree. I think Taylor's was the next one after that. So that I think came quite clear. After the Taylor, what to me was it looked like was actually a sexual assault. And it's, but to me it was a bit muddled in terms of like who the individuals were. Like there seemed to be a power dynamic, like the position for the receptionist versus a guy who really likes to be a guy and is basically insecure about his manliness, and in doing so is actually hurting other people in the process, and comes across another guy and they're doing dick measuring contests with each other. But then I didn't understand the transition of tying up, because it seemed like one of the characters just suddenly switched from the representation of the men fighting to the woman being assaulted. Like, so that I didn't fully comprehend, like, how that transition happened. Like, it was, I can interpret it, but then I don't understand, like, where the second man went, kind of thing. And I think that was, yeah, like, that was quite visceral. The last one was, I mean, quite clearly, I think that was like a fishing. The very interesting part was actually like bringing on one of the actors in the fishing net, because that gives the sensation of this is a full net which already has fish inside it, and you're trying to like clear it up at the end of the day, like together, and you're trying to mend it. That made sense as well. Then it was interesting because it's going into the stories of family, and there were like parts playing out. So that was a bit complex for me to understand, because on one hand we do expect that in communal settings we do share these stories with each other, but were there lesbians involved? Like I'm a bit confused. So that was like a question, because it was like there was an element of like breaking and making mistakes, but I as a man am not able to fully comprehend like what that mistake a woman is making in terms of their mother, because my relation is not the same with my parents. So there I seemed to not have some understanding about what was being represented, and like when the line about like she's like it's about women, but she's your needle in the thread, that was to me was like, oh, okay, they're talking about lesbians maybe. So that's why like it was a bit confusing for me, the last one.
Okay.
But I think those are all the scene transitions. I think. Yeah.
Does anyone want to respond? Okay. No, I tell the. No, not intentionally. I'll tell like the process first. So yeah, like I said, we started with thread. The idea of thread, the idea of string, string, rope, thread. I started with that idea that because I do embroidery, and then when I started doing embroidery, I was so surprised at how strong just a single thread can be, but also how fragile it is, and also how and then if I look into like martial arts, it's also like a weapon, but it's also a lot of things. So I was like, I feel like it's really ripe for exploration, and to put this idea into different cultures. Like, what would that look like? So I really started from there. No, I didn't have a narrative set out. It's really like I brought these guys together. We did a bunch of exercises, and we generated a lot of material. It's kind of like, you're right, like we threw something there, and then be like, okay, and it reminds, Didi said, reminds the story of string is like, you know, marrying a tree, and then we put that there, and then there's and then there were like, you know, like string becomes something else, string becomes this, and then from all of that we did improvisations, we mashed them together, and then we kind of kept like creating and cutting, and then from all of that, then we generated these elements, and then I kind of took those and then stitched them together in a way that made sense for now. I also acknowledge that like for a first showing, there's always going to be like messiness and confusion in between. That's a given, and if you don't understand it, perfectly fine. Like no shade. At this stage, I'm just trying to find out what works. There's a bunch of things that won't work, and yeah, I'm just trying to find out what works. And I think we all have very different movement and arts backgrounds, which is also why I'm so like, excited to play with each other. You can tell about your background later, and then we brought very different movement vocabularies, and the way that we interacted with each other was so rich, and I was so like, yeah. And so from that, then we stitched this together, and then just to see what it was. The other thread that I was juggling was the feeling of being in the world today with the current political climate and environmental climate. It's not like I feel like I don't have anything to say, but I have a lot of feelings about it, and I don't know how to address that sense of there is a lot of chaos that's brewing, and it keeps going and going, but you still have to continue your life, and you still have to keep telling stories and not drown in that despair. So yeah, so both of these things happen together. Anyone? Yes. Oh.
For me, the entire piece is just when Krys approached, she mentioned about she has this idea. First, she said she has this residency that she's going to work with at Meow Dance, and then after that, she said that she wants to have like Yazid, myself, and Aditi, including herself, on board, and the main idea is threads. So I was like, okay. For me, I said, okay, it's mainly because of the people that we're going to work with. And for me, working in a project together, the most important thing is the connection of the people that I would be working with. And then the realization of that also came midway when we were doing the process, because we were still halfway through exploring threads, and then I was thinking, the connection also kind of had like that thread situation going. So I think maybe this is my opinion about it, but going through the process of this, for me, the idea of threads, with the concept, there were branches that were going out. But for me personally, it's always about the connection, because like the people that I work with, the people that I did work before and then still stay connected with, and then also the experiences that were happening in previous projects and then with current projects and maybe future projects. So because like, okay, background, I'm a movement artist, so as a movement artist, I find that I have to capture experiences with my body, so it's more of muscle memory. So sometimes like a reaction with someone, like improv or contact improv or whatever, or like a full-on repertoire, like some movements would stick in my body, some will just like, I don't even remember doing that choreography. So those are things that works for me as my practice. So then for me, like the whole thing is like a lot, but also at the same time, I'm still trying to find what the thread is. We have come into a conclusion about what we want the thread to mean. But if I were to say about like just the work itself that we presented today, it's more about as like locals, like as locals, and some of us who are not locals also, what are it was a two perspective from three of us as locals, and then like Aditi, who is like here studying at ITI. Then like there's two perspective of what are the main concerns of Singaporeans, and then versus as an outsider, what they see our concerns are and whether it's needed or not needed, valid or not valid. So those were the things that we kind of like dug into and how the structure settled. I think the last part I rambled a bit already because I'm also trying to think about the thread again. Because like after every rehearsal, the idea of the thread like changes for me. From the first when we met together until like now. Because like Krys said, this is the first iteration of this work, and she wants to continue, or we want it to continue to like berkembang, apa ya bahasa Singapura, expand, like expand. So it's kind of like still like really work in progress at its finest. So I also don't allow myself to sit the concept like very firmly in my body, because the habit of me as a mover, if like the moment I start to solidify a concept, then my movement becomes very limited. That's my work hazard lah. So at this point, like I'm just trying to make it like very diluted first. Yeah, too much already. Shut up. Okay.
You talk about the first world, third world thing you wanted to say. Do it.
No, it's a little out of.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just say that I think the residency is an interesting opportunity to just throw in ideas and possibilities into the space, which may or may not manifest itself into a solid thing at the moment, because this is just really the first draft. But I think what it allowed us, what this incubation allowed us, was the space to actually have this dialogue. I am from India, and I have lived in India all my life, and I've traveled the world. But recently, after having lived in Singapore for 2 years straight, I see what they mean when they say first world countries or developing countries, or who decides this vocabulary even, like this whole thing about us being the global south. Like why are we the global? So all of these things, sort of this dialogue kept coming into the rehearsals when we were looking at threads as metaphors for multiple things, right? From culture to politics to language to the way we wear and present ourselves. One of the questions and the dialogues that sort of kept coming back was what is happening around us at the moment, locally, nationally, globally, and how do we respond and how do we care about it? Like when I look at the tragedies unfolding in the world, my response to it is very, very different than, let's say, somebody living in Singapore. Because for me, coming from not as infrastructurally or structurally developed or a rich country, for us sometimes even day-to-day existence becomes a battle. Like it's a different kind of war, you know, that like you walk on the streets and you don't know if you will return back home alive, just because there are so many of us and the sheer number of people around, and the kind of resources that we share when it comes to like land, traffic, or, you know, infrastructure. So then for me, the idea of war or tragedies unfolds very differently than probably, let's say, for Krys or for someone who's lived all their life in Singapore. So these were the questions that were more enriching than actually, like for me, to be honest, I don't think I comprehend what we did completely as well, because we did not have an outside eye. So we were in the process throughout. We were recording some of it. We would see the recordings and, you know, find our own meanings and be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Oh, let's do this. This makes sense. But as a dramaturgy, of course, we don't know. I don't know what we are doing. But some elements of working songs, you know, women working together, community working together, singing, the idea of seeking shelter or running away from something that is destructive. And then eventually the thing with the War Office. So some of it were just responses to asking ourselves, how do we care? How do we care in the world that is increasingly shaking? And how do we care with the spaces and the access that we have as artists and individuals? So the access that I have back home is very different than what I probably might have if I was Singaporean. So that was interesting to interact, and I think thank you so much for giving us the space to just begin somewhere. I think we've only just begun, so yeah.
I also realized that we are actually very far away, so can we move a little closer? It's a bit like... It was not intentionally that way.
So to sort of, maybe now that they've asked you, you've mentioned, and then they've replied as well, anybody from the audience has a slightly different perspective now that they've sort of given some context perhaps, and would like to further do an addendum-ish?
So why do you feel like the starting point, like everybody sleeping and like wake up to the news? What is that like the starting point?
Okay lah. I'll tell you what's in my brain lah. Maybe it didn't read, maybe it read, maybe it didn't. So I just took an audio from I think that the idea was that it's a shelter in place, that we're sheltering in place, we're seeking shelter from something outside that is threatening everything. We're told to shelter in place, and this audio has been heard for the 300 millionth time that we've been in here. And in order to escape that, like, we have to tell stories. Yeah, and then this was supposed to be like, I think we found different ways to try to like enter, and it was like, the idea was that it was a blanket that we were going into, like a blanket fort, that you would go in and tell stories, and each scene was kind of like a montage of a story. Yeah. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Yazin was saying, go under the blanket, I think. Because he was telling me the cue.
Oh, your cue point.
Blanket. Oh, blanket.
So you know it's a blanket.
No.
Yeah, but I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I mean, we also trying to like make sense, you know, like, because when you present us, like, almost like this thread has many possibilities. So we also try to connect our mind the first time, like a little bit like math question, analyze and then how it connects. So yeah, like the first one. And then of course maybe later on my brain started to work like faster. And like, oh, okay, I recognize. But I'm interesting about like Almira says like the worker song. I have never thought of that. I've never seen one. Maybe it's also because of maybe my experience because I'm Thai. Not that my Thailand is like a second world. I don't know what kind of country it is. It's a very chaotic country. But my experience also maybe not as very different than you, that kind of thing. So only like maybe if I have more experience, I will be able to interpret better. I feel, yeah.
Yeah, so could you talk about the song?
I think it came out from us just playing. Like I found almost the exact that Scottish women working on exactly the wool and then the textiles. And I was like, okay, I wanted to incorporate that into that scene because it was about like aunties gossiping, and in terms of. And of course we don't speak Celtic, so we don't know, so we just kind of like made our own version of it. First it was Dua Lipa, and then it became Dua Lima. So yeah, so that came from all of us. We actually ended up only meeting the first time, like together, the first rehearsal and the very last rehearsal, like all together. So within like 20 hours ish, that like this is what came out of it. What else? That was how we kind of made this.
The
song.
melody is
We kind of stole it from there.
from the video.
Yeah.
No, we just there was a hook and then we just played around with it. Yeah.
Any last points from the? Yes, one over there.
No, I think it's okay that I can't make sense of everything, although I feel that the metaphor of the thread is extremely powerful, regardless of what color you choose. The one thing that stood out for me completely, apart from the singing and the old auntie and uncle type thing, is actually when the War Office bit, the repetitiveness of that hello and put down and all that, and how straight your line was, juxtaposed with the two of you in this complete tangled mess. It felt very, although she was saying War Office, this one felt like a war. And she was still. So to me, that I still have it in my mind now, and that was extremely disturbing in a good way. And I thought, wow, that is extremely powerful. And now that, when Krys, you mentioned, you explained a little bit about how you felt about the world and all that, and how do you respond to all the messes in the world, life is messy. And I don't think we need to necessarily straighten it out. Oh dear.
That was life is messy.
Yeah, and I'm a nature educator, and when I take people out, well, one of the many things that I do, when I take people out on a nature walk, and you see all this, there are no straight lines in nature, and it is not for me to straighten it out. Yes. It is for me to live through the mess, not to make sense of it, but to navigate my way through it, not even around it. And so again, that juxtaposition was extremely powerful, and I wonder if that is something you might want to continue working on. Not necessarily that particular scene per se, but the entire piece when it comes together in whatever shape and form. It may not even be the same people, but that concept I feel is worth exploring. Yeah, so thank you very much to four of you for that extremely, I think it's got a potential to be really powerful. Yeah, yes, yeah. And again, the one thing about entanglement, really, if you know quantum physics, there is singularity and there's entanglement. And when we think of something, consciousness is not linear. When you want to have people think of a certain way to be conscious, to think of life in a particular way, you don't necessarily have to convert everybody, because consciousness is not linear, it's quantum, right? So entanglement is when all our minds are thinking of the same thing, say for example peace or love or whatever, and if all of us in that space of like, it's okay to be messy, it's okay to be a mess. I go back to your performance, that it's a mess, our lives are a mess. We put on all this stuff to look a particular way, but we're still a mess, and maybe it's okay to be a mess. Well, we work through the messes in whatever shape and form. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
For your presence and your whole afternoon. For Sunday afternoon with us.